singing Inagata Davida.
We're done here. My mic's not working. We won't ignore that. Welcome, everybody. This is a neat opportunity to have a joint meeting with both the Rotary and Kiwanis clubs of Alva. Both clubs are celebrating our 100th year of service in Alva, just this year. So that's really a cool thing. Quick Rotary note, if any of you guys have dues or hog raffle ticket money, come see me afterwards, or if you need more tickets to sell, the raffle's coming up in 1 week. Any other announcements? Any Kiwanis have any announcements? Okay, I'll be fair. This time I'd like to turn it over. We have a very special program today. I'd like to turn it over to make that introduction to Dr. Bohan.
Real quick, John, if I can, I do have one guest I'd like to introduce.
Yeah.
Jeremy Zeller is our Woods County Economic Development Director.
Okay.
And appreciate him coming today, so thank you. We are very honored today to have Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell as our speaker, and we appreciate all of you being here today. I was very fortunate about 3 years ago when I was in Leadership Oklahoma. I had the opportunity to meet Lieutenant Governor, and we had kind of run into each other in several different events, and actually he was gracious enough to play on my golf team about earlier in the fall, and we had a great time. But he is for Oklahoma. He is for Northwest Oklahoma. He is a fan. He is a friend of ours, and please help me welcome Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell.
Thank you so much, and please eat. Please eat. I love a good Rotary Kiwanis meeting in a Mexican restaurant. This is good food. You give me chips and salsa, man. That's my love language. So I'm happy today. Thank you again so much. Thanks for doing it, Doctor. Thank you. I'll share with you a few things going on in the state of Oklahoma, and then I want to open it up for questions, any questions that you have as well. Did a tour of your career tech campus right before getting over here. Certainly you have an economic engine with the university here. Our regional universities, that's what they are, particularly to rural Oklahoma, are economic engines for the state of Oklahoma, and I recognize that. And when you have a career tech system like we have that is so blessed to have a local funding formula that they have that's unique, frankly, to Oklahoma, with all this infrastructure across the state. You couple that with, again, this great university system we have with a K through 12 system, when we support it and should be supporting it, we're on to something then. But please hear me on that. It starts with education. Our future workforce is sitting in the classrooms in our middle schools, high schools, and our colleges, and right here in Alva. We have to recognize that. We've got to support it, make sure that it's funded the way that it needs to be funded, so that we can continue to have taxpayers inside the state of Oklahoma. I'll kind of start there, and then get a little bit into a couple of the specific roles that I have as Lieutenant Governor. But because I talked about education and keeping kids, keeping our homegrown boys and girls in Alva, in Oklahoma, here's where we are today as a state. Because every Rotary, every Kiwanis needs to know this. You are the leaders of this community. You've helped grow this community and been trailblazers in this community. But we just did the census in Oklahoma about 6 or 7 months ago. I've been delivering this part of the speech for about 6 or 7 months. It was at one point I was saying we just did. Well, it wasn't. We didn't just count everybody. It was about, again, 6 months to a year ago. But it gives us a roadmap. It tells us where we are as a state. Because we count everybody in every single state every 10 years. So Oklahoma, we counted everybody, at least everybody that we possibly could get to count. And we did a pretty good job of it. And we came up to about 3.9 million people in the state of Oklahoma. Since then, we've announced that we're over 4 million because a lot of people moved to Oklahoma during the pandemic to the state of Oklahoma. You may have seen some of that here in your own backyard. A lot of states being shut down, anti-business environment. People were sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they said, enough's enough. I'm moving to an open state, a more friendly state, and a lot of people showed up in Oklahoma. So we have over 4 million people in the state. But then you got to get into the numbers a little bit. Oklahoma City, you may have heard of that town. It's in Oklahoma, a couple hours down the turnpike. 20th largest city in America today. Oklahoma City. Tulsa, you may have heard of that town, northeast Oklahoma. Grew some. Oklahoma City grew a lot. And then we lost population in 2/3 of our other counties. So we lost about 75,000 people in rural Oklahoma over the last 10 years. So we grew a lot in 2 or 3 counties, and we did grow a whole lot in the 65 to 70 other counties. We need to be honest with ourselves about that. We need to be down at 23rd and Lincoln in Oklahoma City, our state reps and our state senators, having conversations about those numbers. What is that about? And again, it's not unique to Oklahoma. You can look at any state, you can see kids and working adults, people leaving parts of those rural communities and going into urban areas. But there's also things that we can address, we should address, to make sure that that stops and that we can keep, again, homegrown talent in rural Oklahoma, but recruit more businesses to those communities as well. Everything from access to rural health care, to, again, good education system, to a Department of Commerce that is pushing business to rural parts of our state. I mean, we need to be doing a better job of that as well. If they want to come in and look at Tulsa and Oklahoma City, they can, but we should be showing them 75 other counties that we have in Oklahoma. Can I get an amen? We should be doing that. It's why we host our annual turkey hunt right here in Alva. If you haven't been, you're invited, right? Everybody's invited? Everybody's invited. And we're going to have turkeys this year. I know we've had a little bit of a drought. We're going to have some turkeys. I'll bring them on a leash if I have to. Okay? And why do we do a turkey? Do what?
There's plenty in the gap.
There's plenty in the gap. I'll start using that. There are plenty. Why do we do a turkey hunt? We do a turkey hunt because if there's a bunch of CEOs around this country, if they've never gotten a turkey and they've never been to Oklahoma, if I can combine those two things for people to come to Oklahoma for a couple days to see truly America, because this is America. This is still America. We still do America right in Oklahoma. But if it takes a turkey hunt to get a few CEOs to show up in Alva to say, hey, you know what? I'm sick and tired of Kansas City. I'm tired of St. Louis. I'm tired of Dallas, which I will speak to in a second here. You know, Alva looks pretty good to me. It all starts with a trip. It all starts with a trip. And that could be a softball tournament. It could be a turkey hunt. I don't care what it takes to get people to Alva, America. But I got to get them here first. For them to see the university system, our career tech, again, the workforce that we have. We actually have skilled labor. But until we get people here, a lot of folks in other states are going to continue to have negative perceptions of what they think we are. And it's why we talk about tourism so much. So that gives you an idea, again, where we are as a state, about 4 million people. Not enough, in my opinion, not enough. We grew by about 200,000 people over the last 10 years. Not enough to get the 6th congressional seat back. So Frank Lucas represents from Guyman to Sepulveda. It's too big. It's too big of a district. I'd say that if Big Frank Lucas was standing right here, okay? It should be a goal of everybody in this room that over the next 10 years, we grow a little bit more than what we did over the last 10 years so that we can pick up that 6th congressional seat back. I mean, we're raising kids in this state, don't even remember when we had 6 congressional seats. That should be a goal of ours. For every Republican, Democrat, or Independent, that should be something that we can easily rally around, for goodness sakes. To grow a little bit more, which requires, again, first off, keep businesses that are already here happy and help them grow first. But then, yes, let's look at what we do well here in Alva and Northwest Oklahoma and go pitch, go sell to other states that are cranky because they're cranky. And that leads me to, again, Dallas, and I'll speak to tourism last. There's an article in the New York Times. I rarely read the New York Times, but I read this story today. The headline was, Oklahoma, I think it was Oklahoma wants to be like Texas, imagine that. And the whole article was about Texas getting too full. So listen to these numbers. Dallas today, there's 8 million people in the city of Dallas today. So that means there's twice as many people in Dallas as the entire state of Oklahoma. Within the next 10 years, Dallas will be the third largest city in America. They will pass Chicago as the third largest city in America in less than 10 years. There will be 10 million people in Dallas. They're full. I mean, all my buddies that I went to college with, they left college, they got landman degrees, and they went down to Dallas and in Houston to get jobs. Okay? Some in this room probably have similar stories. You may have kids that left Oklahoma thinking they wanted to go to Dallas or Houston or, God forbid, Austin, but some are even going to Austin. And they're going down to these cities to get jobs, okay? My friends loved it for about 3 years. They hate Dallas today. They got young families. They're trying to get their kid into a kindergarten class. They're on a year-long waiting list to get their kid into a kindergarten class. It takes them an hour and a half to get to work, and an hour and a half to get back from work. What they're paying for a house is ridiculous. It's changing is what I'm getting at. The quality of life in the Dallas Metroplex area is not what it was 20 years ago. And the quality of life in Oklahoma is not what it was 20 years ago. It's better here and it's worse there. And the pitch that I'm making is, listen, people are going to move from California and Washington State and Oregon, and some of that has happened over the last couple of years because their baby boomers are retiring with a big pile of money. And they want to come to a state where that's affordable, that's smiling faces still. That little bit of that will happen naturally. But if we're going to get young families to Oklahoma, if you want to move, again, skilled labor, people with skills that are going to get back into a workforce, we better be in Texas every day. I've told our Department of Commerce, we're not in Texas enough. Why would we not be? Because they're running out. And North Texas is just growing into Oklahoma. I mean, again, you put the Dallas Metroplex aside for a second. I mean, Sherman, Texas, have you been there recently? I mean, it's a major metro now. Paris, Texas, I mean, North Texas is growing. And it's naturally going to grow into Ardmore and Durant. And those two towns alone, I'm hoping for doubling the population of those towns in future decades. So we have to look at what's going on in this country, but particularly one of the largest economies in the world that's just a couple hours from here. And go to those cities and go to those states, because it's not just Texas, it's Kansas too, it's Wichita. We've been sitting here talking about Wichita a little bit. And tell them about our amazing communities that we have in Oklahoma. If we don't do that, if we're out of sight, out of mind, then there will be other cities and other states that are going to continue to beat us for job relocations. Or again, sending their kids to our colleges. Because if they come to our colleges, again, their rates are good. When the kids graduate from colleges here, most of them stay here. They stay in our economy, they stay in our workforce here. So I'm pitching that out as much as I can to leaders in communities. And I'm not talking about Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Tulsa and Oklahoma City are going to get theirs. I'm talking about the 75 other counties that we have around this state that have built quality of life and attractions that we can go into communities, into Texas today, and tell some of our homegrown talent it's time to come home. Because that's also what we're doing. We're going to be at every OU and OSU alumni tailgate party with the new season, okay, next football season. We're going to be at every one of those tailgates in Dallas at OU and OSU. You know why? Because it's the largest alumni association for those two schools is in Dallas. Imagine that, right? There's 22,000 OSU alumni that live in Dallas. There's even more from OU, and I guarantee there's a bunch from our regional universities too. Why would we not be down there talking to them? They're cheering for our teams, and they're cheering for Oklahoma in general to be better. Why would we not be down there starting a conversation with them over chips and salsa, if that's what it takes, and tell them it's time to come back and give us another look? So that is going to be something that I'm going to be committing a lot of my time to into a second term. Just had lunch with the OSU alumni chapter president in Dallas 2 weeks ago. I got lunch set up with the OU alumni president next week. I mean, we're not messing around here. And with our turkey hunt, most of the people that we're inviting, with all of our locations throughout the state of Oklahoma, most of the folks are coming in from Dallas and coming in from other parts of Texas as well, because they're starting to look They're starting to look around, and we've got to be ready to make that pitch when they're ready to come to Oklahoma to check us out. The reason that I talk about tourism, the reason that I asked the governor 4 years ago when I got elected lieutenant governor that I wanted to be his secretary of tourism, is because our tourism industry in Oklahoma is very unique and very authentic. So we don't have to create something that doesn't already exist. From our Native American heritage and history, Route 66, the Chisholm Trail, small town charm, our agritourism industry that is exploding in all the right ways. Agritourism is the fastest segment of the tourism industry as a whole, not just in Oklahoma, but in this country. It's exploding in all the ways that we want. And you've got amazing opportunities here in northwest Oklahoma when it comes to agritourism. Anything you can do on a farmer ranching operation. Not just talking about farmers markets here, although those are exploding in popularity as well across 77 counties. But as I said before, it starts with a trip. If we can get somebody here to Alva to visit your museum, to visit an agritourism opportunity, to visit your masonry, I don't care what it is. Again, if I can get them here, we can sell. Tourism is the front door to economic development. In Oklahoma, it has been that way for us. We generated over $10.2 billion last year in direct visitor spending in the state of Oklahoma. State record, all-time high. So we know we're on to something. Some of that due to COVID. I will full disclosure, when other states were shut down, we had a whole lot more people show up in Oklahoma. We had over 3 million more people visit our state parks during COVID than the year before, because we didn't shut down our parks. I wasn't going to tell a mom or a dad with their kids at home that they couldn't go walk in the woods. Okay? We were going to allow them to go into our state parks. We fixed all the restrooms in those state parks, so you're welcome if you visit any of our state parks. And millions of more people are. I think clean, safe restrooms matter. They matter to a lot of people. So we put 150 new restrooms in our state park system. Good luck finding an RV camping spot, a tent camping spot at most any state park in the state of Oklahoma this weekend. And it's not even prime time for us yet. So we're hitting all-time records in revenue, but it's because we're focusing on our strengths. Outdoor recreation in Oklahoma is growing. I created the Oklahoma Fishing Trail 4 years ago. Why did I do that? Well, because we have 200 man-made lakes. We have more man-made lakes than any other state in the country. And it's arguably the most diverse fishing state in the country. We have 175 different species of fish in Oklahoma. Why are we not just inviting people to Oklahoma to go fishing? I mean, that's kind of easy, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of taxpayer dollars to do that. But for every dollar I'm spending inviting people to Oklahoma to go fishing, I get $67 back. Right now we have a 67-to-1 ROI, just announcing that Oklahoma is open for you to come and go fishing. That was a small idea that has turned into millions of dollars in revenue for communities across the state. The other big reason that tourism matters to every single community in Oklahoma is sales tax. So any city manager or mayor will tell you, we live or die on sales tax as a state. I would argue we are too sales tax dependent as a state. But if Alva is not creating sales tax, if people are not spending money in Alva, dropping their sales tax money and then leaving, going home, we love those kind of dollars, then you can't pay for your police and fire departments. And I need more Oklahomans to recognize that. We talk about shopping local, right? And it sounds good, but it really, really matters. And most of the time, I'll go around, to any community, and they're like, "Well, all I really want," I've talked to any mayor. "Well, all I want in this town is a Chick-fil-A or a Walmart," and it's because it creates a lot of sales tax revenue. And I just don't think that's a great strategy to build a community. But that's how city managers and mayors, a lot of time, historically in Oklahoma, have operated. Well, just get me a Chick-fil-A or get me something that's going to create some sales tax. We need to be putting master plans together here and really leaning into the tourism opportunities that you have in Alva. And I will come back anytime to do a whiteboard session, a workshop. I do a lot of those around the state of Oklahoma in rural communities. That SWOT analysis, right? What do you got now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Let's just start there. And I guarantee you, I mean, you guys are already doing this. I mean, you're already promoting a lot of what you have in Northwest Oklahoma and in Alva. Keep doing it. But if you want our help to come in and further workshop that out, you need to know what our Department of Tourism is doing to help you as well, to promote you. Because we promote rural Oklahoma a little bit more than our Tulsa and Oklahoma cities, because they have larger budgets than even I do at the Department of Tourism. So we're trying to help the 75 other communities, other counties, as much or more than Tulsa and Oklahoma City, because they have their own budgets. Or McCurtain County, for example. If you haven't been down to Broken Bow, I don't know what's taking you so long. If you haven't seen Hochatown recently and the explosion of growth down in southeastern Oklahoma, well, best practice there, they created a hotel motel lodging tax about 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. All the money is lockboxed for advertising. Now, because of the growth, I mean, it's our #1 state park in the region, tri-state region, is Beaver's Bend State Park down there. And all those cabins they built, because they're generating so much money, they spend $3, $4, $5 million just in Dallas, telling people from Dallas to come to Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And it's bumper-to-bumper traffic down there almost every single weekend. I mean, the sales tax is through the roof. There's no reason why we can't, again, not every county can be Broken Bow, I'm not saying that. But every county can look at what they have, lockbox some money for advertising, because if you don't invite people, they're not going to show up. So please make sure to dedicate, again, what you can. I know we're all in limited budgets, but make sure you dedicate some dollars to make sure that you're marketing Alva. Marketing matters. I mean, I'm the sales and marketing guy for the state of Oklahoma, so of course I'm going to stand up and say it matters, but it does matter. We have seen over the last 4 or 5 years, since I've been in office, not just me going around preaching about how great Oklahoma is, but advertising and targeting our dollars. We know who's coming into Oklahoma, or who we think. I mean, you know, in 2023, again, technology-wise, we can micro-target people, and we know who we can get out. So we'll help you with those efforts as well. But everything from that commerce piece and tourism, they go hand in hand. And I'll continue to work on those efforts as your Lieutenant Governor over the next 4 years. With that, I'm not sure what time it is. Give me the hook whenever I need to get the hook. But I want to leave plenty of time for some questions. I threw a lot at you, but I wanted to give you kind of my 2 pillars. I mean, those are the 2 areas where I can move the needle. I mean, I can talk to you about education, roads and bridges, healthcare. I'm raising 4 kids in Oklahoma too, so I want all those things to be better. But where I can really be effective is in those 2 areas. And that's where I'm going to be spending a lot of my time. Ryan Sproles is with me. Ryan Wave, good Northwestern boy right here. Lives in Enid, outside of Enid now. They're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm a Northwestern grad.
You're Northwestern grad. Not boy. He actually graduated already. But Ryan is my statewide field director. So, you know, Ryan can get here quicker than I can. We will make sure that he is a familiar face in Alva, America, whenever you need him. But wanted to make sure. And I have Mariah Carter with me as well. Mariah is in Oklahoma City. You can't have Mariah that much, so I need Mariah. I need Mariah in Oklahoma City. But Mariah is here all the time. Yeah. Questions?
When do we get on your calendar for a whiteboard session? Can we get that date today?
Yeah, Ryan. Get with Ryan. You know, let's do it at a time. I'll be back for the turkey hunt, obviously, but I've got to hit 8 communities in 48 hours. So let's do it when I can spend a half a day here, and I'm happy to do it. Yeah.
My name is Taylor Dowling. I'm a member of the City Council. I'm actually running for mayor, and it's one of those things that we've worked for to the City of Alva for a long time is to build a comprehensive plan. And it's one of those things that can be a very expensive undertaking.
Yeah.
Do you have any resources at the state that can help us pay for that and
We
kind of
do.
guide us in the right direction?
We absolutely do. So we have, our Department of Commerce has a Main Street program. Now they require $300 or, I mean, there's some sort of, you know, to be a Main Street member. If you want to pay, I've been very blunt that if a community wants help, we're going to give them help whether they have $300 or not. I don't know what the price tag is, but there is some buy-in to be a Main Street partner of the Department of Commerce. I don't care about that, the price tag. We're going to, if a community wants help and wants to take the initiative of inviting the state to come in with our resources, because we do have resources, we do have expertise over at our Department of Commerce in that Main Street program, or our Department of Tourism. You know, because again, with our Department of Tourism, we do the same thing there. We have a promotional department. We have red carpet country. This is, you know, that's our tourism country. I would really lean in. You have a lot of active tourism directors on red carpet country. They would be happy to help. I guarantee it, because they're in very active, very active. They're probably our most active country. We have green country, northeast Oklahoma, red carpet country, Chickasaw country, and a number of others. Red carpet country comes strong with the counties that you have out here. So, you know, I would want them at this whiteboard session, of course, because I want to make sure we're working together. But it won't cost you a dime, that meeting.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
No.
Will I just get with your field rep?
Yeah, get with Ryan. Yeah, get with Ryan.
I just wanted to add that we're actually working on getting into the Main Street program. I used to be with the Oklahoma Main Street program.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're in that process to get Woods County as a whole
Yeah.
in the Main Street program.
You know, we hired, to give you an example, the Department of Commerce agreed to hire a staffer under the Main Street program that is just dedicated to Route 66. Just because we have 400 drivable miles of the most famous road in the entire world. And even if you're not on Route 66, a lot of those international travelers will hit Route 66 and then they'll travel a good hour or two off 66. They stay for a good week or two in the state. Czech Republic is a good example. So there's such a thing as a Czech Republic Route 66 Association. Yes, there's such a thing. And every year, think about this, every year for the last 32 years, the Czech Republic Route 66 Association they do 2 trips a year. And it's like 30, 40 Czechs. Some of them ship their motorcycles over here. I mean, it's wild. And again, that's just one country. Japan, Australia is a huge growing market for Route 66 now. So we said, listen, I got to dedicate a person to this. And we've embedded her in every Route 66 community. There's over 40 of them. And so we're going to communities now, is what I'm getting at. And I keep telling we need to be much more proactive. Not just sitting at a state agency in Oklahoma City is not going to do a whole lot of good. I need people out in communities. And the more we do that, I think the better we'll be.
We all, anything you can do to bring them here,
Yeah.
can sell us out.
Yeah. What else? I'm trying to think. You know, our state park system as a whole, as far as changes. What's our closest state park to Alva? You got a bunch out here. Little Sahara is the only state park that makes money. If you didn't know that, Little Sahara is profitable. Most state parks don't make money. Shouldn't surprise anybody, right? I mean, they're full, but we're not making a ton of money. No state makes a ton of money on parks. What we try to do is make them revenue neutral. Well, Little Sahara is they passed just breaking even, and they make money out there. So we're big and bold on Little Sahara. There's some development going around Little Sahara. We've got Alabaster somewhat close out here. We are trying to commit. It's going to cost a couple $1 million, I believe, to fully reopen back up the cave. We're doing tours down there, but it's not, as you all probably know, it's not fully open. That's the only Jimson show cave in the country. Okay, so again, playing to our strengths, right? Every time I go to that state park, there's usually 7 or 8 cars with different state license plates. So Alabaster is a priority for us. It's going to need, again, some money to again excavate and make and get the cave working again. Again, we're doing tours, but just not the full thing. You got Great Plains. We get good reviews on Great Plains. What the goal is to get more concessionaires there. Anything from frisbee golf to we don't have enough concessionaires there to again generate more revenue. We could generate more revenue if we do those things. But what I would say is Texas just opened their 18th state park. We have 35. So I have very limited dollars to operate 35 state parks and recreational areas. Texas only has 18. So our parks are diverse. They're a huge asset for us as a state, and we've committed more money over the last 4 months to our 4 years to our state parks than we have in a very long time. Over $50 million, thanks to our legislature and Carl Newton being a leader there, helping us get those dollars to go in and fix our state parks. And so, again, if you visit them, you know what I'm talking about. Everything, again, from bathroom facilities to upgrading our lodges to new trail systems. Younger generations are demanding those things. When it comes to state parks, outdoor recreation, then that's an investment that we should be making to keep our younger generations in communities. And it pays off big time for us.
We also have the Salt Plains over
Oh,
there.
geez, yeah, well, you all are extremely blessed, yeah. And Salt Plains, again, we played at Boiling Springs. That's another park that we have big plans for. That golf course could be a top 150 golf course in the country. The work that they've done over the last 4 or 5 years out there, just playing lumberjack and getting rid of the red cedar, and they've opened up this wonderland out there. We've got a lot of golf course architects around the country that have come to Oklahoma that are looking at the sand dunes that we have in western Oklahoma. I don't have anything to announce to you right now, but I can tell you there's some interest there. And again, as I said, I don't care if it's a golf tournament, turkey hunt, softball tournament. If it gets people to Oklahoma and northwest Oklahoma, sign me up. But yeah, Salt Plains is another one that is just, again, it's very unique, not just to Oklahoma, but to this country. And you got pilgrimages to northwest Oklahoma for those state parks.
Has Oklahoma seen a rise in entertainment industry? I know that there was a film done, was that in Paul Husk in the Tulsa?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you might not have known this, it was made for Netflix movie that was filmed in the Alva Academy. They still kind of had this setup there.
I do know that,
We
yes.
have, I think Wakita still makes money every year off of the Twister movies
Yeah.
that were filmed. I was saying, Wakita really attracts people. I've seen a lot of growth in that sector.
Well, you mentioned something that I usually talk about, or at least over the last couple of months I have. So this will probably make us feel a little older here. So Twister, the 20th anniversary of the movie Twister is this year. Sorry, I just made maybe all of us feel a little bit older because I remember that movie. Twister 2 is coming. So they announced that they are going to make Twister 2 on the 20th anniversary. So this gives you kind of an insight on what I'm dealing with. I never thought that I would be dealing with the film and music industry, like film and television, like I have over the last 4.5 years. But we have a rebate in Oklahoma that's fairly competitive. We've got a cash rebate incentive program that the Department of Commerce administers. And so we've had a lot of films being filmed in Oklahoma. Twister 2 wants to film here. They want to. But they also very well may film in a soundstage in Atlanta, Georgia, which I don't want, but the reality is I'm capped. We can only pay out so much money, and I'm glad it is capped. I don't want it to turn into not a good return on that investment. But we're capped at $30 million. So we've turned away this year, to give you an idea, we've turned away 22 projects already this year. And these are projects that they want to come spend 10, 15, 20, $30 million. And then there's big ones like, if Twister 2, if we got the whole thing, they'd spend over $150 million in the state of Oklahoma, like Killers of the Flower Moon did up in Pawhuska. But I can only take so much. Tulsa King, you may have heard of that, with Sylvester Stallone. Over 32,000 articles were written about that television show. Did wonders for our tourism industry in the Tulsa area. And Kansas City hates it, because if you didn't know the history there, it was supposed to be called the Kansas City King. Stallone was like weeks away from going to Kansas City. And their rebate, the deal fell through in Kansas City. They changed the name to the Tulsa King. This was like a last minute kind of change. And he ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we made out good on that one. But Reservation Dogs, if you haven't seen this. So all of these streaming services, from Netflix to Hulu and all this, they pump out hundreds of millions of dollars of content every single year, and they're filming it in sound stages somewhere. So Atlanta, Georgia is the new Hollywood. No one wants to film in LA anymore. It's too expensive. No one wants to film in New York. So they're going to these states in the middle of the country that have tax credit programs or rebate programs. So it's us, Albuquerque, New Mexico. So the city of Albuquerque signed a $500 million contract 6 years ago with Netflix. Netflix said, we'll pay you $500 million to reserve every one of these sound stages so that no one else can rent them out. $500 million. So there is money to be made here. There is. How much the legislature is open to raising that cap, I don't know. There is a bill this session that would raise that cap, to 50. I think it's 50 to 60 million. I don't know. I want to make sure that we're incentivizing, and I'm not just saying this because I'm in rural Oklahoma. The priority should be, again, continuing to incentivize doctors moving to rural parts of our state. Most states have an access to quality health care in rural Oklahoma campaign and in other states. We have to continue that. Pipeline for teachers. If there's an incentive that would be helpful there, I'm very open to it. So I want film and television, but we need to make sure that we keep the big thing, and that's roads and bridges, healthcare, education, infrastructure, helping communities with incentives, which I will mention this too. We passed what we call PrEP funds last legislative session. This is a really big deal, and I'm going to be mentioning it at every one of my turkey nuts. The legislature, and you can give Carl Newton credit for this too, they said, listen, we've got all these industrial parks around the state of Oklahoma that if we could get them some shovel-ready money, there may be an industrial park around Alva that may need a new building, may need some a plumbing issue, water. I don't know what it is, but most industrial parks around the state could use a couple $1 million, for some upgrades, so that when a company comes calling, that industrial park is primed and ready. $250 million has been dedicated to this effort. So we have the Department of Commerce right now going to these, they're about 99 to 100 industrial parks around the state of Oklahoma to say, what do you got, Alva? What do you need? And then we're infusing those dollars, real money. $250 million is real money anywhere. We're infusing those dollars into those industrial parks. So you will have the Department of Commerce here soon, if they haven't already. There'll be a lot of conversations with our Department of Commerce who administers that turkey hunt with you all in April as well. But this is a big deal. I mean, Pryor doesn't need any of that money. The Mid-America Industrial Park in Pryor, which we all are hearing a whole lot about right now, it's the 8th largest industrial park in the country. Well, Pryor doesn't need any of that money. But you had the Carl Newtons of the world and others say, well, hey, we got an industrial park too. And it could use an influx of money. And so I think over the next 5 years or so, and again, the money is flowing now, but just know that's something that we'll be working on. Yeah. Yes.
So back to the film
Yeah.
deal. I think a lot of times people in small communities don't think about how film can affect them. And I'll just say firsthand, whenever they were filming a project out at the Alva Caverns, my family owns a local restaurant here, and the crew spent nearly $1,000 at our restaurant buying food, and that's contributing to sales tax dollars as well. What can small communities such as Alva do to make our community more likely to get those projects, large or small, for the film?
Well, it's a great question because we have a film-friendly program specifically and Alva is a film-friendly.
We're working on that too. Yeah.
So we have our film and music office that's going into communities, particularly rural communities, and getting them, quote, film-friendly. So that when we do have a movie calling, and most of the time they need to film 30 days in a sound stage somewhere, and they need 15 to 20 days out in a field somewhere. Well, we got it here. And they love those landscapes. They're diverse. I mean, again, you mentioned Alabaster, Salt Plains. I mean, the shots that you could do within an hour of Alva, Oklahoma, I mean, it's a dream for a filmmaker. It saves them a ton of money because they don't have to recreate a set somewhere. So, but again, as I said before, if we're not talking about it or advertising this kind of landscape, then Martin Scorsese isn't going to know about it. When he saw the tall grass prairie, he started crying. I mean, he was emotionally moved when he showed up in Pawhuska to shoot this movie and went out to the tall grass prairie. He was moved and he was sold. And there's this amazing photo of him walking, through the tall grass prairie on one of his first visits. We can get people to Oklahoma. We can emotionally move a whole lot of people, but we got to get them here first. And you're right. I want to hire Oklahomans, but I'm just fine with a bunch of people here for 60 days, eating 3 meals every day, renting out every hotel room that you have, right? Renting set designs and those type of things. I want that money too, because that's sales tax dollars.
I'd say more directly, Northwestern has an absolutely amazing theater program.
Yeah.
So does the community supports amazing. I know several people that have graduated that are actresses and actresses for Disney.
Okay.
And so there's lots of people that are raised in our community that would live here if we had a stronger film industry.
So we're working on it. We're working on it. And I would mention too, broadband and affordable internet service in rural Oklahoma. I am on the broadband council. Okay, so I come with good news on that front. There is zero excuse for any state in America to not have, between now and the next 3 years, to provide internet, affordable internet, high-speed internet to rural parts of this country because of the federal money that is flowing into states right now that is specifically for those efforts. So we have a broadband council. There's 7 of us. I'm one of those individuals. We are awarding those contracts over the next 2 to 3 years to provide that service to particularly rural Oklahoma. And so you need to be talking to your state reps and state senators about this. Hey, where are we? How many projects have been awarded? When is this coming to my part of the state? So I want you to provide pressure there, but I want you to know we are meeting every other week right now. We are meeting deadlines, and the deadlines are, we got to fill out all this paperwork to get the federal dollars. Won't surprise you, that's a very bureaucratic process. But once we get those dollars into our piggy bank, then we work with the different providers inside the state of Oklahoma to get that out and actually get the hookups in communities. And I'm very optimistic that we are going to hit every goal that we have. It's to get over 95% of this state affordable access within 4 years. That is a big job that I will have into a second term as well. And we know that, that how big of a deal that is for any community that it wants to grow, for goodness sakes. And we're extremely sensitive to it, and we're going to make sure that we're working with your communities on it. But if you're not hearing from us, that's also something that you can, again, start with your state rep and state senator, because they'll be bulldogs on this. And we'll pull in the Department of Commerce as well. But you're going to start seeing us a little bit more out here as we start working with providers. Money's not the issue anymore. The issues really are workers, which we're going to work with again, our regional universities and our career techs for sure on this. So I think we can get it done faster than other states because of our career tech infrastructure, but it's the product. It's kind of an arms race right now of getting the actual product needed to run this fiber. And that's also going to be something that is going to be some growing pains. But hang with us. We're going to get this done as quickly as we can get it done. Going once. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.